Verb.
Yo, I don't think we should talk about this.
Come on, why not?
People might misunderstand what we're trying to say, you know? But that's a
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk.
Coitus.
Giggity.
Making love faces.
Sexy.
Can we just talk?
You're listening to Pleasurable Noise on the Voice of NASA Community College 90.3 WHPC.
Oh,
I'm glad to hear from you. It's kind of like the first time we get to meet, sort of.
I know. I think I'm ready. This is good. I like it. Let's do it.
All right, you like the music? I like the funk.
I love it. I like the whole official aspect of it.
All right, so I'm corny, so I had to go with the corny music. So, but
Cool.
Anyway, so for those of you who don't know who Vanessa is, just tell me about yourself and what you do and what your podcast is all about.
Sure. So my name is Vanessa. I'm a sexual health educator in Baltimore, and like Raquel was saying, or wait, should I call you Rocky?
You call me Rocky. This is my stage name now.
Sorry, like Rocky's saying. My platform is Vagesteem. So Vagesteem is a podcast as well as a series of workshops where basically I empower folks to have courageous conversations about love, sex, and everything in between. And so the podcast is just an opportunity to really just take a sex ed lens and learn a ton of different perspectives on various different sexual health topics. So I love it.
Oh, I love that. I love tuning into your podcast because you actually make me laugh with these funny questions that everybody has to ask. I think it was this one about whether or not something gets stuck up there, and I had to incorporate it today.
I'm ready.
But anyways, so you guessed it, guys. We're going to be talking about vages today. And so tell me, Vanessa, what are the different parts of your vagina? Let's start off with that.
Oh boy. So, I mean, there's a lot of different parts. Your most important parts to know is the thing about all of those parts down there that you can see is actually called the vulva. And so we've been kind of like mischaracterizing or misnaming all of the parts down there. So the whole is literally just the vagina. Vulva is all of the parts that you can see on the outside except for the anus. And so that is new for people. The thing about the vagina is the opening, is one of the openings below the belt. Vagina, you have period blood, baby, if you have one, and discharge, the way that the vagina cleans itself. You have the outer labia and the inner labia, or also known as the outer lips and the inner lips. One could stick out, one is super dark, the other pair is there for protection. And then we have the clitoris, which is, I mean, for a lot of people, the most important part. The clitoris is the only organ, and its only function is for pleasure. And so it has about 8,000 nerve endings. For some people, it could be as small as a pea and as big as a thumb on some folks. And then I think we got it, right?
I think that answers that whole entire question. You gave me like an entire paragraph. I loved it. An ending point. She was like, I straight lectured the crap out of that question. Anyways. No, that's what we need to hear. We need to learn about our vages because I feel like everyone understands that it's just the pee hole, or it's just like the hole that you put stuff in, or like that's what everyone's idea. And I want everybody to learn that there are different spaces, there's different parts, and we're gonna go over them as we go along. But what's the most important part of your vag in your opinion?
Oh man, I mean, they're all so special and so wonderful. I mean, I think that for me, whenever I teach, I think for me, the most important thing is that people just understand the anatomy and know the parts and become acquainted with knowing the functions and what they do. And for me, the most important thing is that people look at them. So the thing about folks with vaginas versus folks with penises have to like touch, move, finagle their penis and see it because it's just right there. And I feel like folks with penises have an opportunity to see them a lot. They're drawn everywhere. In your locker room, you see them. So people with penises just have it, just are more acquainted, it feels, and for some people, different levels of comfort, but in the grander scheme, more comfortable with having a penis, seeing a penis. Whereas folks with vaginas, folks with vulvas, you don't see them because they're kind of hidden away. So it does take some time to like look, explore, become one. And a lot of times when I'm teaching, folks are like, oh my, no, I don't want to.
I rewatched Sex Education for that one reason today, actually. Was just that part where she was learning about herself. She's like, ew, no, I wouldn't do that. And then she discovers herself and she's like, oh, that was amazing.
Exactly. That's the thing. And so like there's just so many amazing parts to know. But for me, not only is it for us to know, but to become more comfortable, because a lot of times the images that we see of vulvas may come from porn, and those vulvas may be bleached, the lips may be super small. A lot of really popular surgery that's happening right now is called labiaplasty, where folks are getting their lips cut to fit like a certain mold because they feel like the lips are too big. But that is, for you, that is what your lips are supposed to look like. And
I
so
feel like breasts, they should be like hanging natural. It is what it is.
They hang for some people, they're smaller on some people, and just like literally the lips on your face, some people got really big soup cooler lips, some people got really small tiny lips, and it's the same diversity of lips below the belt. And so it's just really becoming acquainted with what you have, becoming more comfortable with it, and just loving up on it, because this way we can fight some of that, the images that we see around, people trying to shame our bodies and what they naturally like.
Right. I think for something so like below the belt, like everything has to be out in person. I'm used to everybody like, this, you have to have a certain look. Now I have to worry about like what's underneath my underwear. Like now I have that. I can't stand that.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff to deal with. And when we're talking about like pleasure, which I know we're going to get on later, it's like you can't even allow yourself, and which is why I started Vagesteem. It was really to encourage people to like love up on themselves, to look at themselves. But I feel that people who have high Vagesteem, where I feel it's the confidence of and in your vagina and vulva, the higher your vag is willing to take care of those parts, the more that you're willing to look at those parts, and the more that you're willing to bring pleasure to those parts. And so it's just really important to just become acquainted, look, touch, feel, whatever you need to do, because we don't see those parts as much.
Exactly. So if I'm younger and I want to watch my lady bits, so what do you like if I really have to, what do you recommend, and like what do you have to say about douching and washing your lady bits?
Ah, man, it's so funny that you say younger, because I feel like this is something that people of all ages need to know. So the thing about the vagina is that it does not need soap. It is a self-cleaning organ. And so when I'm talking about the vagina, again, the opening, it does not need soap. And so the thing is, just like our eyeballs, just like our eyes, the eye is a self-cleaning organ. You never have to stick soap inside the eye to know that the eye is clean. The eye has tears. The eye has boogies when you wake up in the morning on the sides of your eye.
But you put soap in your eye, it's gonna burn.
Exactly. And it's gonna burn inside the vagina as well. So the way that the vagina naturally cleans itself is through discharge. And so it's the white, creamy, milky, whatever sticky stuff that you might see in your underwear, and it's literally our barometer. That is literally telling us like everything's going okay. Depending on the texture, it could be associated with different times during our periods. It's just literally the way to know that, all right, cool, everything is going okay. Depending on the color, oh, cool, everything is going okay. And so it's really important that we have that function. And for some people, there may be an ick factor, but it's literally like, boom, that's the way that our bodies wonderfully function.
It's gross and slimy. Ali Wong described it best, where she's like, when you put it in your underwear and you come and you can blow bubbles, I'm like, ew, I understand the feeling, and that's just gross, but I relate.
Yeah, it's literally, it has its function, and that's the thing. We have a lot of folks who see that and they're like, oh, why is this here? But the more that we mess with it, which is literally the natural thing for our body to do, the more that we start pushing up bad bacteria into the vagina, which can cause infection, which then lead to the douching and all these other things that we are, that we're trying to get away from. So when it comes to hygiene, it's just really important that we take a warm, towel, washcloth, and that we wash around the lips to clean around there. And for some people, they're super sensitive to soap. So I would recommend, if you are using soap, a mild soap like Dove or Oil of Olay. I would not recommend using Irish Spring or Dial on your...
Oh my God. You know what? That stuff is already harsh enough. You can smell somebody like 2 miles away that's used Irish Spring soap. So I can imagine what that kind of smell mixed with your regular bacteria could honestly smell like.
It just literally strips you down. So, and then some people, they're so sensitive to certain soaps. So all you really need is a warm washcloth and just making sure that you're cleaning in between the lips, and you should be just fine. When it comes to douching, I like to say douching is fake news. It is a myth. There's no reason why you need to do, literally, there's no reason to stick anything inside the vagina, because I just told y'all the vagina cleans itself. So this is, y'all are in college. It's literally capitalism at its best. I like to say that it's working to shame people with vaginas, because there's no other product out there for anybody else with a penis to just be like, let's just clean up in there for no reason. Douching actually can push bad bacteria further into the vagina and your urinary tract, and basically cause yeast infections, cause a bacterial vaginosis, and some other infections to happen. And so it's just really important to just trust your process, trust what your body is doing. There's no need after your period to douche or clean anything. Your body is literally naturally cleaning itself all the time. So do not buy those things. And douching, when we're talking about the bacteria and the infections that can develop, that's where sometimes that fishy smell may come, or those smells that we're trying to get away from, which are actually being pushed further up into the vagina. So
explain what abnormal discharge would be.
So abnormal discharge would be if the discharge is a different color from your normal color. So if it's like green, that is not okay, y'all.
Oh God. So what does green mean? Like, explain to me like the different colors and stuff, because apparently there's a chart. When I look it up, there's green, there's yellow. I want to know, what exactly does these gross looking things look like besides the weird milky stuff that comes out in your underwear every week?
So the thing about it is that's why I say it's really important for everyone to become acquainted with their discharge, their bodies, because it's different for a lot of people. Some people, they, during the summertime, they just have a lot of discharge because they are, they're literally just sweating a lot. Some people just naturally have heavy discharge. Some people have little discharge. And so it's different for everybody. But when we start getting into colors, so yellow could be abnormal discharge. It might mean a sign of bacterial infection or an STD. If you have brown, it could be that you're coming off your period, or you might be spotting. Green discharge is just not normal, y'all. So basically it's another sign of infection, bacterial infection or STD. And then if we notice that it's thick and white, and if it's irritating, it could be a sign of a yeast infection.
Oh yeah.
So that's why it's important to not mess with that delicate balance. It's your natural way for your body to be like, hey, everything's cool, or hey, you got to get checked out. And if it has an odor to it that's not your natural odor, and what I mean by that, I have to break this down, because if it smells like fish, then that's how we know we might have an infection. It's time to just go to the doctor, get that checked out. Don't try and treat it yourself. Make sure that you get everything hashed out with your doctor. But if you're looking at your discharge and you're really paying attention to it, and your discharge, the scent can be changed by the type of underwear that you're wearing.
What about penis? Because I'm allergic to penis, and I felt that was a weird thing to say to somebody, but I was like, I literally, because my underwear, if I have raw penis in my vajayjay, I have an issue with like like the fact that like my underwear would be bleached out. Like it's high acidic. It smells weird, and it's just yeah, and that's what I'm scared of. So like I literally have to wear a condom because I'm allergic every single time it happens, and I can't help it. And when I tell guys that, it's like, is that really a thing? Are you just trying to like are you trying to come up with an excuse for me not to?
No, oh my gosh. So I appreciate you bringing that up. The thing about semen and the thing about vaginal fluids, the vagina is very acidic and semen is basic. And so when those two things come together, and depending on the chemistry of that person's body, there is going to be a scent afterwards, just because it's like you have semen in you that is now coming out. It's literally seeping out of your body. And so there's a lot of mixtures of fluids happening. So it is natural that there is a scent. Now, if it's ever itchy or if there's like a rash that breaks out, then that person might be allergic to something that's happening in that situation. But I think it's perfectly natural and normal. If you take a shower, you should be fine within a day. Everything should be cool. And I know, and that's the other thing I was saying, is that I have some people that freak out if their discharge smells different. But it can literally be you have hair, you have skin, and you have discharge, and you have underwear. Like everything is being trapped. There is bound to be a scent. And the thing is that we don't smell like roses. We're not supposed to smell like nothing or water or lavender breeze or whatever stuff we got out there. You are supposed to smell like yourself. And so the only way to know what you smell like is to become acquainted with and comfortable with who you are, what you're doing. Some of us, our scent is changed by our diet. So like people like me who eat a lot of garlic, there's a lot of stuff going on. But and I know for me, like when I drink coffee, like my whole down there smells like coffee. It's just the way that my body's metabolizing coffee. I don't know why, but that's just literally the way it is. And so different things change our scent. When you are even talking about the kind of underwear that we're wearing. So if you're wearing like non-cotton underwear, and you know that silky type of underwear that like
stop
has
going
no
to Victoria's Secret. They're done with me.
That underwear will actually trap, because it's not a breathable type of material, so it'll just trap whatever scent is in there. And so it's really important to just like air your stuff out, wear cotton underwear, wear no underwear at times, just so that we're breathing down there. There's a lot of hair, there's pores, there's sweat. Like it is natural.
So should we shave our body then? If that's the case, should we shave down there so we don't get bacteria?
So shaving, waxing, and not shaving or waxing is a matter of preference. And so what I like to tell people is, it is what you want to do. You can have hair, and you just need to make sure if scent or sweating a lot is your jam, then just making sure that you're taking a shower, drying off, and airing out should be fine. And so the thing about shaving or waxing, my number one tip is that it needs to be your choice. Do not let a partner or someone tell you like, oh, gross, what do you do? The hair grows there for a reason. The hair is there for protection, is there to reduce friction, and the hair biologically is there to trap pheromones. So all that smell good, attracting your partner stuff is the reason why the hair is there as well. And so I think we've gotten into this culture of like, we're going to shave, we're going to wax. But there's also a proper way to do that. You got to make sure that you're going to a reputable waxing place if you're going. You also, with waxing, there is the risk of like the skin, some skin damage. So you really need to be mindful of like STDs and pathways for bacteria to get in if you're removing the hair. And when it comes to shaving, like having balance in your bathtub, using a fresh razor every single time, like those things are important to make sure that we're not nicking ourselves and just having extra entryways for STDs or bacteria to get in. But if whatever you choose to do with that hair, let it be your choice, let it be your preference. Do not let a partner shame you for something that grows naturally or shame you for something that you like. Unless that partner is putting in on that waxing bill, I don't want to hear a damn thing about what you got to say. And even if they are, it's your body. It's whatever makes you comfortable. And again, that's that whole like building your confidence and boosting that, that self-esteem, boosting that Vagesteem to become just more acquainted and more comfortable what you have. It's yours. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. It's whatever you want to do with it.
So my question to you is, it's really off talk. Talks about periods. Well, it talks about periods where, you remember Whoopi Goldberg is coming out with a new line of menstrual products.
Yeah.
What do you feel about that? Because I'm totally down with anything with marijuana in it.
I haven't done too much I've just like read the articles that have been out on Whoopi Goldberg's products, and I think that's great. Like, the more that people could find relief during their periods and relax during their periods, I think that's great.
I agree. They should put a chocolate bar in every Tampax box.
Whatever way, like, I know for me, salt is like my way, but salt doesn't help with like cramps and stuff. So I'm gonna order a large pepperoni pizza because the saltier the better.
I feel you. Chinese food for me.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not a sweets like on my period kind of person, but I think that's great. I think that that's an untapped market. I think it's, great that we're thinking of innovative ways to just think about, periods and the cramps that might come with periods. However, I do want us to be alert that if we have cramps to the point where we can't function like naturally, like you have your period and you are dizzy, you got migraines, like you can't get up for days, that's something that you have to talk to your doctor about. Like, that's not normal, that's not okay. And if you are debilitated, like, you need to, make sure that you're going to the doctor. But any type of relief, go for it.
Agreed. So, do you believe in masturbating during your period? Because I had to ask that one. I read up on that one. I felt like this one should be brought up because not a lot of people are into it, but I feel like it relieves cramps. What do you think?
Yes, I agree with you. You are 100% there. I ain't got nothing to add. Do it. And on top of that, your period, your period is, and the week before your period is when you are ovulating. So you are literally the horniest. But scientifically too. You are literally your horniest. And so not only are you trying to like get it in during that time, but also, like you said, it is a great cramp reliever. So rub one out, use a vibrator, do whatever you got to do. Really great cramp reliever. And it helps give all those like feel good endorphins and all that. So work it out.
Okay. Well, so we have a few minutes left before I have to end the show for today, and we'll pick up next week.
Okay.
But I want to play a game with you first.
Okay, let's do it.
Are you ready? So we're going to we're basically going to play a game to see how many different names for the vag you can come up with. All right. So I hope you are ready.
Okay, I'm going to try.
Okay.
Oh, shoot.
Ready, go!
All right. How many can you come up with? You got 1 minute.
All right, coochie, vag, vajayjay, man in the boat,
Man in the boat,
chest, punani, uchiwali, let's see, poontang,
what?
Some people call it Virginia, pocketbook.
Say what?
Cooter, is there anything else?
That was like 8 so far.
Damn! How much more time do I have?
I think you have like about 20 seconds. 19, 18,
damn,
17, 16,
monkey.
15. Monkey, what? I don't even know if that's one. You just made that one up.
I can't think as a vagina person. I cannot.
Time up.
Oh my God.
You came up with 8. You ready to pick up where we left off last week?
Yes, we are. Let's do it. I'm ready.
All right. So last week we spoke to you about odors, noises, stimulating a lady bits. And today we're going to slow it down, literally, and learn how to help your lady climax. STDs and also the power of consent. So you ready, Vanessa?
I'm ready. You know it.
All right. So tell me, we talked last week about vaginal muscles and clitoral stuff. So how important is it to stimulate your lady's clitoris during sex?
Wow. So it's important. I don't even know how to emphasize how important it is. So a lot of people, and there's a lot of figures out there, it can be up to 75% of people with vaginas cannot orgasm without clitoral stimulation. Oh. So meaning that little move where you're just moving back and forth or just inserting things into the vagina, whether that be penis, finger, toy, is not going to cut it. You need to incorporate the clitoris in there. So if you want an orgasm and that's the only function of the clitoris, as we talked about, it's the only function is pleasure. And so if you're not not hitting the thing that gives the person pleasure, then what exactly is the point? And so when it comes to that, it really takes us, like, we got to get our ego out of the situation and make sure that we're doing what's best for our partner.
Right. Yeah, guys, you need to learn that. None of this 1 minute man situation. I would have played that song. Anyways, so any tips to help her feel better, or any positions that you could recommend to help the man get to that point where he can help his lady out to the no end?
So the number one thing to keep in mind when we're just having sex, period, is you gotta ask questions. Like, I can sit here, which I will, I'm going to give tips, but you have to be willing to communicate and talk to your partner about their likes. And as the partner who's receiving or the partner who is enjoying, you need to be able to speak up. I think the reason why a lot of people are out here just having bad sex is because there's someone in the situation not speaking up, someone's faking it and making the other partner believe that you're doing a good job. When you fake it, you're actually giving positive reinforcement that tells the other person, like, oh, I'm gonna just keep doing that thing because it seems like the other person enjoys it. And if you don't enjoy it, it's perfectly fine, and it doesn't have to be mean. I know a lot of us are concerned about being nice, but like, we can just say like, hey, wow, oh, ooh. You can do a compliment sandwich. You can say like, hey, I really love when you like kiss my neck or kiss my back. However, like, you know what would really help me out is if you did blah, or if you put your hand here, or you know what, let me show you how I like to do this, or like, let me show you this new thing that I learned, which can help incorporate your partner, because if your partner is really there to satisfy you, they want to hear what makes you feel good, what doesn't make you feel good, or things that just like are ow hurts too. And you need to be able to communicate when something hurts as well, because you don't want the other person continually doing that. So communication is key. Ask your partner questions. Ask them to show you what they like, which I think is really sexy. I think that's a great turn on, like taking the person's hand and actually showing them the thing, or like putting on a show, like show them what you like. Playing the clitoris. Sometimes the thing that we need to keep in mind is that some people know about the clitoris, so they'll just like go straight to it. It's really important. The thing to know is that the clitoris is super sensitive. You can't
scratch it like a DJ. Please tell them not to do that. Or chew it like a cat box. Oh my God. I had that happen the other day. I was like, nope, we need to stop. I can't.
That's the thing. It is sensitive, so you can't just be like poking it. So you gotta like, you know, just let that be the last thing that you're doing. You gotta get the person all riled up, all ready to go, and then either touch the clitoris or rub it or whatever the person likes to it. Do it last, so you're not just overstimulating the person, because again, it has a ton of nerve endings, and the overstimulation could actually make it hurt. So keep that in mind as well. Some positions for stimulating the clit: getting on top so that the person with the clitoris has a lot more control. Doggy style, unfortunately, y'all, I know a lot of y'all want to do that. It does not hit the clit.
I thought the balls hit the clit. No?
You said the what?
The balls hit the clit? No?
I mean, if you have a very aggressive ball mover, sure. But if you're doing... like, that takes a lot of aggressive thrusting. So if you are doing doggy style, like, you do need to like reach a hand around to like, you know, to stimulate the clit, or reach a toy around so that you can stimulate the clit. But the positions where it's just like in and out is not going to get at the clit. Like rubbing, moving your hips, you got to get that hip action going so that you can make sure that you're incorporating the clit. And again, reaching a hand, reaching a toy while you're doing, if you're having penetrative sex, to make sure that you are incorporating the clit. If you're not having penetrative sex, you're having oral sex, you know, making sure, again, if you're going down and using your mouth, again, not going just straight for the clit and staying there. There's other parts that feel good too. You have the lips, both sets of lips, you have hips, you got thighs to kiss, you got thighs to massage.
I got the whole KFC menu.
Exactly. Like, just work your way around. And again, even when having oral sex, incorporate the clitoris later, but don't let that be the first thing that you're going for.
Okay, I like that information. So tell me, what's the importance of lube?
And here's the thing. I'm talking to the college folk here, you know? So
We have a hard time listening, so
Rocky
please.
has seen my Instagram. I do talk a lot about like taboo topics. And one of the things I feel is really taboo for like folks in their 20s is that like, and I feel like there's memes out here and there's like people on Twitter who are like if your pussy don't work, like if it can't like oil itself up itself, like something's wrong with it, you know?
That's what I say, because I mean, I feel like with me, it has to be an emotional thing or like I get dry. So
that's the thing. And so the thing about lubrication, it's a help. It's there for a reason. And a lot of people, like the thing about lube and just your natural lubrication, one, you got to be hydrated. And a lot of us are not. Like,
yeah, especially when you're a college student on the go, it's like salt ramen and just whatever Gatorade you can find. So yeah, you're just chugging down crap all day.
Exactly. So you got to be hydrated because like your natural lubricant is a bodily fluid. Bodily fluids need water to function. So there's that. But also like different lifestyle habits can get in the way of being able to produce, natural lubricant. So if someone's on antidepressants, that might impact, which people are, that might impact the amount of wetness you have. If you smoke cigarettes, if you're stressed out, like if you have different medical conditions, it can definitely affect how much you're getting wet. And so the thing is don't beat yourself up about it. Make sure that you're adding the lube. There's nothing wrong with that. And I would say try out different types of lube. There's water-based lube and there's silicone-based lube. Silicone-based lube mirrors a lot of natural vaginal fluid. Water-based lube is really slick. And so just check out what's out there. Check out what works best for you. But do not be afraid to incorporate it, especially if you're having sex for a long time. Especially if you need it, use it. There's nothing wrong with using something to assist you. And if you're not using condoms, some people I know they use like coconut oil for lube, but again, coconut oil, because it's an oil, may not last as long. So we need to keep that in mind. And when it comes to silicone-based lube, we need to be mindful of, water-based lube. We can use those with condoms. Okay. So just make sure that you are checking and doing your research around your different lubes. And again, oil cannot be used with condoms. So keep that in mind.
Okay, so what is the problem with not slowing down and getting to learn your partner?
I think that man, Rocky, you asking all the really good questions. So when it comes to not slowing down and learning your partner, I understand some of us might be with people that we don't intend to like build an emotional bond with, but that doesn't mean you have to be an asshole. Mm-hmm. Right. So I think that when we're having like casual sex at times, we're like, oh, I don't care if this person gets off because I'm here to get mine. Mm-hmm. But like if you're a human being and you want to make sure like both people are here to enjoy themselves, like at least paying attention to like if the person's in pain, like just being a human being, like, hey, does this person look like they're in pain? Does this person look like they're enjoying it? And there's nothing wrong with just stopping to be like, hey, I noticed your body's freezing up. Are you okay? Or like, oh, am I hurting you? Because it's just like the natural human thing to do. So, just ask questions. There's nothing wrong with that. I think if you are like building a connection with someone and you're, having sex consistently or you're partnered with someone, it's really important to, like I said earlier, get to know what they like, ask them what they like. And some people, they don't know what they like. And so it might take some exploration with the partner, some self-exploration to figure out what you like, what you don't like, what may cause a little bit of discomfort, what are the things that you might need some extra lube for. And again, just speaking up. There's nothing wrong with speaking up. You cannot be mean to when it comes to talking about your pleasure, because you are ultimately responsible for your pleasure. So you got to speak up about it and advocate for it.
So what do you have to say to the ladies who are trying to discover themselves or discover what they want? How do you get there? How do you walk into that headspace?
I think that, as a person who Catholic, where we were taught like, no masturbation, nothing, none of that stuff. I think for me, what helped me, and I think what helps a lot of people that I talk to, is just undoing the shame. So there's a lot of shame with masturbation, especially for people with vaginas. Like, I don't know if there's that much shame for people with penises, because I think people just expect, like, oh, you have a penis, you're going to touch it. Like, but they have these different rules for people with vaginas. And so you're not often, a lot of us don't know why the clitoris is there. A lot of us don't know the function of the clitoris, which, you know, if we're really getting down to it, if we're talking about pleasure, you're literally touching the clitoris or incorporating the clitoris for pleasure. And so a lot of our ideologies is around, like, don't touch that clitoris, like, don't do that. And then you develop shame, because, you know, you might feel like, I like to say, you might feel the heartbeat down there. So if you feel the heartbeat down there and you are like, oh, I want to, like, see what that's all about, and you've been shamed about it, or like you feel any type of, like, stuff around that, it gets in your head and it keeps you from really exploring to be able to figure out what you like and what you don't like. And just the benefits of masturbating is super important as well. So I say whatever it takes to just become more comfortable. And I feel like that's the stuff that, you know, we really need to think about, as far as, like, looking at our bodies, embracing our bodies, building and boosting our you know, Vagesteem and our self-esteem, buying a toy, using your hand, like, whatever it takes to get in a more comfortable headspace around our bodies. And, you know, having personal time, you know, just getting away from that shame. It's your body. You are ultimately responsible for its pleasure. And so, you know, get to know that part, even if you might have some blocks with that.
Okay. So what do you have to say about women who fake it?
Don't stop doing that. So, like, well, yeah, like I said earlier, in regards to faking it, you are sending a poor message to your partner. You're basically letting them know that you like the thing that you clearly don't like. And so they're going to keep doing it. They're going to keep on doing it. And it becomes hard to change behavior, especially if you've been lying to somebody about something.
Which so I feel a lot of these boys have been lied to quite a few times about what they can do.
Like, that's the thing. Like, someone has pumped somebody's head up to let them know that, like, the dick to game was this and that and blah, blah, blah. Because, and here's the thing, when you fake it, you don't help the next person. Mm-hmm. So you sitting here faking it, and meanwhile, this person is just, like, hurting you and, like, whatever, pinching your labia, like, whatever, like, something terrible. So you're just basically sending them out into the world thinking that they're doing something right. And again, it doesn't have to be this, like, you know, shamey, like, stop it, get off of me. But it could just be a gentle redirection. It could be like, hey, that's not really my thing. Like, do you mind trying it this way? Like, oh, do you mind if I show you the way that I like it? To teach them what you like. But you faking it doesn't help you in the long run. It's not like you faking it helps them, like, get better moves. They just keep doing the same bad thing over and over again. So speak up about it. And if you feel like you're with somebody that you can't speak up to, I mean, I would explore, like, depending on the situation that you're in. If you're just like, I don't want to speak up because I don't want to speak up. But if, like, your partner is threatening you, or, like, they don't care about your pleasure, definitely seek help. Talk to a therapist about that, because you need to find a safe way to either break up with that partner or find a safe way to communicate with that partner. And again, if your partner gets mad over critique, that's not the person who's invested in your pleasure. Clearly, they're only there for themselves, and you got to think about if you want that type of person in your stuff, in your body parts. Gotta think about that.
I was listening to another podcast, and they were talking about, like, vaginism, where, like, their walls would contract, or that it would hurt for sex, because whatever they were feeling would basically affect their mindset, or how they felt about sex, or how that person in front of them was treating them. I guess whatever they were still going on in their situation, I guess however they were treating them was affecting the way sex happened between them. And she would say it would hurt because of the fact that he was very abusive, and he talked down to her and made her feel poorly about herself. So what do you say about vaginism, and like how do you relax, or how do you basically, if it's not an abusive situation, how do you relax in a situation where like I'm new to this, or like I'm new to this partner, I don't want like they're in my space?
So okay, so just so to make sure I got it. So were they talking about something called vaginismus?
I guess. I probably mispronounce it. I butcher words a lot, so do correct me.
It's fine. I was like, wait, I want to make sure I got it. If it's vaginismus, and what I think what's going on is, so vaginismus is a condition where the vagina just spasms, and the muscles in the vagina or the pelvic floor muscles spasm, which can make it very difficult or painful, or make it impossible to have sex. And like, so much so for some people, it spasms so hard that it could push whatever's inside the vagina out.
That's a powerful pussy.
So the thing about vaginismus, there's a couple of causes. It could be that there's trauma, like you were talking about, to the vagina. It could be like trauma during childbirth. It could just be like, it could be psychological causes, like in your mind, like you're saying, like, I don't want to have sex with this person, like, and your body and your mind are literally collaborating to be like, get off of me. And so it's spasming, and so it could be like the body's way to like safely get that person away from you. So there's a ton of different reasons why someone would have vaginismus. So some cures for it, again, therapy and counseling. A lot of people think like, oh, that's just too much, or I'm doing too much. But the thing about your mind, sex starts in the mind. It doesn't just start in like, oh man, like I'm horny, so I'm ready to go. The horniness comes from like your brain. The horniness, like your brain is this part. I like to think about the brain as being like a sex organ as well. So like if things are stressing you out, or you have trauma, or whatever, it's in your head, and it's very it's serious. Like, it affects you, it affects people. And so it's important to get therapy, counseling, to make sure that that you're taking care and doing the work, the healing work that you need to relieve any trauma. Some other cures or treatment would be vaginal dilators that your doctor would give you. So not telling you to walk into a sex store and just be like, I'm just grabbing all the dildos. Like, don't do that.
I don't know. Maybe I would go to the counter and be like, is there anything you recommend?
Yeah. so I know like some very like woke sex toy stores, like where people like study the stuff and like they care about people. Some of them might sell dilators, but if you're going to a specialized doctor, they can prescribe you and give you the dilators that you need. And it's not just like, oh, I'm using this thing and then boom, my vagina's fine. It could be like they're starting you off small and gradually opening up the muscles of the vagina.
So it's like a gauge, like an ear gauge? Again? It's like an ear gauge? Like, you remember those earrings?
There
okay.
we go. Like the ear gauge.
Yeah, the earrings. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So you're like moving along, you're making sure that you're opening up at the vagina's pace. So you're not just like, I'm just putting things in there. So yeah. So the thing is, basically there's other treatments like antidepressants or Botox, which there's a ton of different treatments that, again, under the guise of a professional, to help you through that. But yeah, okay. It happens to people. Make sure you do your work and do not try and just do it on your own.
Yeah, don't jump into it. But another question is, how do you know it's consent? Because I know a lot of us women are like on the fence, especially due to pop culture, what exactly, counts as consent, or like, I'm not really sure whether or not, this was okay, or like, oh, well, he tells me that was fine, so therefore I mean I shouldn't worry about it, or like, the reason why he's forceful is because he loves me and like he just wants to do what he wants and I will allow it. So what do you say about that?
Shit. Sorry, I don't know if I could cuss.
Oh, you be quite all right. That's why we have the bleep method. We're good.
No, I think you asked, Rocky, I think you asked a really important question. And especially like being in college and being on the college campus, I think this conversation is so important, but it's like ever just circulating. Because for some reason, when it comes to sex, we act like we don't know what consent is. Consent is getting someone's permission to do something. And when we think about sexual consent, I like to add another layer to that. It is getting someone's verbal and nonverbal permission to do something. And so a lot of people where we are now just want to like make sure like the person's saying yes or no. But in our culture, we don't just say yes or no. Like if you when you asked me to do this, I wasn't like, yes, Rocky, I would love to do the show with you. Like, we don't talk like that. We don't. But like for some reason with consent education, which is where I feel like we have a lot more work to do, we feel like someone saying like, yes, I want to have sex is the way that people communicate, when it's not. When you want to have sex or you want to do something with someone, we say things like, sure, oh yeah, like I'm down for that. Like we use our faces, we use our words, we use phrases and colloquialisms that we use to express like, yeah, sure, let's do this. Like, let's do it. It's not just a yes or a no and like, get off of me. That's not the way we talk. Mm-hmm. But if your partner's like, maybe later, I'm not sure, or I think somebody's going to walk in. These are all ways that your partner is telling you no without saying no. So we have to pay attention to all of those things as well when it comes to sex and consent. The other thing to keep in mind, and the easiest way to think about consent, and this comes from Planned Parenthood, is think about it like fries. So consent should be freely given, meaning that like the person doesn't feel forced or pressured or feel like they have to say yes. It's reversible. Like the person can change their mind. And a lot of us feel like for some reason when it comes to sex, which is why I say we're confused and we act like we don't know what consent is when it comes to sex, is because we change our minds 24 hours a day. Like this morning when I woke up, I was like, ooh, I'm gonna get Chipotle. And then when I got home, I was like, actually I got like noodles here, so I'm just gonna eat noodles. No one was standing over me and being like, you said you were gonna eat Chipotle, you promised me you're gonna have Chipotle, eat this Chipotle. Like no one, you don't have that. So we're free to change our minds. And it's the same thing with sex. Like you can change your mind. You can choose to be like, oh, I wanted to have sex, but now I don't. Or like, oh, I was in the mood for that, but now I'm not. Or it's just so many different things. And I think that this is rooted in people's like egos and hurt feelings, because if you really want to have sex with somebody, you would hope the other person wants to have sex with you too, without feeling like they have to give you some pity sex or like feeling like they just have to do it. Why don't you want a person who wants you as badly? And when somebody changes their mind, we make it about us. And a lot of times it's not about you. It could be like, wow, I'm starting my period, I don't want to have sex right now. Ooh, I have a headache. Or, this thing completely ruined my day, I just don't want to. Or it could be like, ow, 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 I'm in pain, you're hurting me, I would like to stop now, so therefore I am changing my mind. Like, there's just so many reasons, and we keep making it about ourselves and like our hurt feelings, rather than just being like, oh, okay, I
being
respect
very
that.
considerate of the next person right in the room with you. Right.
Exactly. It has to be informed, and so meaning that like the person knows what they're getting into. Are you tested for STDs? Are we using condoms here? Like, what are we doing here? Like, I need to know what I'm doing. It also has to be enthusiastic. So like I said, the person wants to have sex with you too. See how that works out? And then specific, what we mean by specific is that like, again, I know what I'm getting into. I'm saying yes to the thing that I said I was going to say yes to. So if like we start making out, that we agreed to making out. Just because I came to your room, I agreed to come to your room and make out. I didn't say I was going to come to your room, make out, have sex, give you, like, I didn't, like, what are we agreeing to? And consent changes. So, like, if we are moving on to something else, like, are you cool with that? Is the person kissing you back? Are they into it too? Like, are they are they reflecting what you're doing? So if you're taking off your clothes, are they taking off their clothes, or are they just laying there? We gotta pay attention to the whole thing to make sure that we're having just good sex with people.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
my-
So that was a powerful statement you made there, but
Thank you.
we have to wrap up the show with
Oh no!
I know. You were so great. I love that you actually came by and not really came by. You kind of Skype called, but it's great. It's
all
good.
It's all good.
I appreciate you coming by. Can you basically tell us anything that's going on? Any thing coming to NYC at all?
Oh man, I would love so a couple of things. So you can find the Vagesteem podcast. That's VAGESTEEM, like self-esteem, but just put vag in the front of esteem.
Mm-hmm.
You can find it on Apple Podcasts. So if you have an iPhone, it is the purple podcast app right on your screen, right there. You don't even have to look for it. You just type in Vagesteem. You can listen to it on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts. You can just type it in. You can even listen to it on my website at vagesteem.com. As far as events, on April 11th, I am going to be in New York, actually in Brooklyn, at Von Bar. It is the 3rd annual Pod and Live NYC podcast meetup. So if you like podcasts, want to start a podcast, if you just love podcasters, come out and meet a bunch of us. There's a ton of independent podcasts who are coming. It is May 11th at 4 p.m. at Von Bar on 3 Bleecker Street. Come and join us. It goes from like 4 till, so drop by. You can meet me. You can get Vagesteem swag.
I get a free T-shirt?
In New York.
I'm just kidding.
So that's the most recent thing, the thing that I have coming up.
Okay.
But yeah, reach out to me. You can follow Vagesteem on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Vagesteem. You can send me your questions. I'll answer them anytime. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
All right, before you go, we usually do a word of the day here.
Ooh.
So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, drum roll, please. The word of the day is cunnilingus.
Yay!
All right, so cunnilingus, you guys, is performing oral sex on the vagina. Usually, I don't know, clitoral, vaginal, all of that stuff. But anyway, if you like what you heard and want to hear more, please go to wherever you listen to podcasts and click subscribe to listen to full versions of this show. And if you have any questions, suggestions, or you want to show the show some love, add me at DJ Rocky Lee Savage on Instagram and Twitter, as well as the show page. And if that just doesn't work for you, email me at pleasureablenoise@gmail.com. That's pleasureablenoise@gmail.com. I'll give you a stripper name if I decide to read your question aloud on the show. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to Pleasurable Noise on the Voice of NASA Community College, 90.3 WHPC.